Hey, g'day. If you didn't know already, Garten of Banban is the new gunk that has been plastered all over the Mascot Horror sphere this past year, really hammering in just how saturated this market has become. Unlike other videos, I don't think there's gonna be much contention in saying that this game is complete and utter garbage. But somehow, this crap has exploded. So just about everyone has at least seen this big ol' jumbo Josh fella floating around somewhere. You see, the worst part about this game isn't even the game itself, because the Euphoric brothers, the devs, have clearly been working harder and honing their skills with each chapter. Still fucking far from good, but at least they're trying somewhat. The problem is that it's a soulless cash grab, and it's been that way since day one. First off, the merch store, which is pretty obvious, and then there's the price of each installment. Following the free release of the first chapter, each chapter cost around $7.50 a pop, except the latest installment. The recently dropped chapter 4 is fucking $14.50 Australian, and that is absolutely ridiculous for what we get. But I guess I'm one of the suckers because I bought the bloody game, and that's what we're checking out today. Well, she's pretty rough around the edges. If the puzzles from FNAF Ruin were baby brain level puzzles, these are fucking veggie level puzzles. The main gameplay loop is fetch quests. Lots and lots of fetch quests, sprinkled in with some good old-fashioned walking for good measure. And as we know, I love walking in horror games. We still love our drone thingo for those button puzzles. Again, some comatose fellow would be able to figure these out. The hardest part about these puzzles is working around their shitty controls. While they have some smaller scale versions around the floor, they also have one big room dedicated to drone puzzles, and it sucks. There are also some chase sequences, one right at the start, one like 15 minutes in, and right at the end. But it's a chase sequence, so they're designed to not be able to keep up with you. And without any obstacles to hinder you, it's just really easy. Though granted, I did get disoriented because of the map design in the first sequence, but like, give me 2 seconds and it's done. So, yeah. I guess this also counts as gameplay. You can pick up your little Opila friend and drop them on a red pressure plate to make it go green while you run to the other. This'll open a door. But Opila friend is also vital for another puzzle. The vents. In this room, you have to find the vent which isn't trapped to progress forward. By holding a peeler friend, you can detect which ones are trapped as it squawks when there's danger. There are like 10 of these, and because of how easy it is, it's just incredibly boring. Though, one of the better rooms was the Find the Difference minigame. There are 4 different rooms with different furniture and identifying features. After pressing a button, one thing will have changed within one of the rooms, and you have to decide on which room has changed, or if none of them have changed at all. I found this real easy, but I'm sure some terminally online child wouldn't be able to concentrate long enough to figure it out. Then there's the hardest part of the entire game, which I actually died to quite a couple of times. Here we meet this weird fucking cat, dog, Tyrannosaurus Rex motherfucker. In concept, the room should be pretty easy to get through. The kitty will take a couple steps before charging at you. Bait it into running its head into whichever thingo you triggered to have a red dot. Once all thingos have been lit green, it dies and you win. Now the problem was, getting this guy to do that was fucking awful. Firstly, if the cat doesn't directly hit the thingo, it won't count. So, while it's in its walking stage, you gotta try and bait it into the middle so that it'll charge right at the thing. I tried timing based on the number of steps it took before charging, but it just isn't consistent, so that was a bust. The biggest problem of them all, however, is that its fucking reach is crazy. I felt like I should have had some wiggle room to get away from it, but if you get remotely close to it, you die. So yeah. This segment was one of the harder puzzles you'll see in modern horror games, but not because it was well designed. Quite the contrary. It's hard because it was badly made. There's a room where you gotta collect 8 crystals before you can get the next item you need. So do that. You collect 7 around the room and can get the last one by hitting a button hidden behind the throne. We also have one section of simple platforming, and that's it. That's the game. Wowzers. This game was awful playing through it. I could feel my brain cells liquefy the longer I spent. Do you really need me to explain why these designs are shit? Okay. First off, the level design is just empty and boring and ugly and not scary in the slightest. I could go through each of the locations and say what's good and bad about them, but there's nothing good to say. They all look fucking ass. Also, sound design sucks. Simply isn't scary, nor is it enjoyable to listen to. And the voice acting is horrendous as well, save for the newly added bitter giggle. I can't even go in depth on the character designs. They're just all bad. Well, almost all of them. The most prominent monsters in Chapter 4 are Sheriff Toadster, Queen Bouncelia, and Bitter Giggle. Sheriff Toadster is absolutely horrendous. Just look at him. Queen Bouncelia isn't too bad. I don't mind her design that much, but she should have had an Aussie accent. She is a kangaroo after all. But then comes Bitter Giggle. For Banban standards, this guy is actually pretty cool looking, and they did a decent job with the voice acting as well.
Like a bug to a zapper.
Also, this completely original and unique character design of Choo Choo Charles is great. Probably the best design in all of Garten of Banban. So, our player continues on their journey to find their child. However, at the start of the game, we are captured by Sheriff Toadster, who puts us into questioning before promptly releasing us. He takes us to Queen Bouncelia, who empathizes with our situation as a mother herself, and makes us an honorary member of her kingdom. Essentially, our goal is to collect 3 parts to fix the elevator, so that we can travel to a lower level. While we do so, Sheriff Toadster continues to capture monsters and place them in cells. He ends up capturing Slow Celine, Opila Bird, Tartar Bird, Banbalina, Stinger Flynn, and even Jumbo Josh. All the while, we are being opposed by Bitter Giggle. Bitter Giggle was once Queen Bouncelia's jester until being banished. I think his prime objective is to do what he was made to do. Make Queen Bouncelia laugh. You see, the problem is, however, if Queen Bouncelia were to laugh, whatever's hidden in her pouch would be released. And that's exactly what we see happen right at the end of the chapter, before we flee to the elevator with Sheriff Toadster and Stinger Flynn. Which also means that all the captees should have been set free, or obliterated, one or the other. I'm sure there's a bigger, overarching story with all the experiments on the kids, and who becomes what and all that. But at the end of the day, I just don't really care enough. It's an indie horror game. We got some secrets and Easter eggs. The most obvious are the little notes scattered around the entire level. They're for lore purposes, and give insight into the characterization of the monsters. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan when your secrets and lore dumps are just a fuck ton of text to read through, but it is what it is. What's interesting about these notes, however, are the QR codes. By scanning the QR codes, you receive some miscellaneous letters and numbers. Once you have the lot of them, you can get access to an unlisted video on the Euphoric Brothers YouTube channel. It's pretty cool. The video is ominous and has some implications for the future of the series, heavily implying that all the monsters escape captivity and are coming back with a vengeance. There are also 3 tapes you can find, which are all pretty lame, and some awesome hats to customize your drone. There's a Bitter Giggle Easter egg when you first enter the platform train station. He's just creeping around the corner. So yeah, I like this one. Later on, there's a secret Zolphius appearance. It's cool, and that's because Zolphius just looks cool. And the last one, whilst not a secret, is the fucking appearance from Choo Choo Charles. I guess the Euphoric Brothers put this in because they're friends with the Choo Choo Charles' dev, but like, what's the point? Why do this and have it explicitly in a cutscene? Does this mean Choo Choo Charles is canon to Banban lore? Who fucking knows? No. At the end of the day, I appreciate the efforts the Euphoric brothers have put into improving this game, because it's very clear. Compared to the first chapter, Garten of Banban has improved drastically. It has more characters, better level design, more puzzles, more content, and more lore. But it just isn't a good game. Setting aside the criminal cost, it just isn't a fun experience. There is no challenge, there is no tension, there is no fun. It's just really boring and empty. Mascot Horror has really fallen off the deep end. As always, however, you are free to be a fan of this chapter and game. But admitting that you like it is akin to admitting that you're a prepubescent child. So keep that in mind. That's the 4th installation of Garten of Banban. I mean, what did any of us expect? It's a poorly made game, and somehow it exploded. So of course, I'll be making videos on Banban 5, 6, and the complete game. Gotta milk those sweet YouTube views. Alright, that's about it. See ya.